Hey, hello. Oh, wait, some of this is like kind of busted. Oh, right, you're not Josh Jepson. You're not ProtonJon. You're not Forrest Minish. Hold on, give me.
I knew I wasn't ProtonJon. Damn it.
Which one am I right now currently?
You are ProtonJon.
Wow, what an honor.
Yeah. And right now, again.
I wouldn't say that if I were you.
Again, I have been duplicated. Hold on. Why does this always happen to me? Hi chat. Hello, Air Joker. Let me kind of fix up whatever this is happening. All right, so that means I need to. Yep. Oh wait, no, we're gonna put you right back. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go to filters. We're gonna change the cropping. This is the only thing that I very much dislike about Discord calls, is that it rearranges everyone based on whether or not they are. It rearranges everyone based on alphabetical order and whether or not they have a webcam turned on. Actually, my favorite part about this right now is that if you look at the 4-person screen, I'm back to back.
You're just hanging out with yourself, that's all.
Yeah, no, it's just me. And, well, I don't even want to look at me. You know, she says, tell the other Laughing Boy LP that I don't want to talk to him right now.
All right, get out of here.
Shoo. Dang. Oh, well, there we go.
That's just too much energy right there.
I know, too much laughing. Too much laughter.
Too much LP.
Oh.
What does LP stand for?
Let's play.
Okay,
yeah.
good. I was making sure I wasn't being inappropriate in some way. I don't know. Love
Back.
power or something.
Love power.
Too much love power. Yeah.
Prism, make up. How we all doing tonight?
Tired, man. I've slept so much this week. I don't know what's going on.
I wish I was.
I'm in a similar boat, except I unfortunately did not get this sleep. So it's sort of like I'm very tired. But sadly I wasn't able to act on that feeling. So, you know, there you go.
Yeah, losing the hour is very sad.
Oh my goodness, yeah. That's the worst. It's when you feel like, you know, it's like, I got a moment to myself, and then you realize it's like, oh, right, the clock got turned back, so it's bedtime. Oops.
Yeah, I had to do that during a stream night where I got to see the clock change, and I'm like, oh, it's 3 now. Like, we don't even get a 2 o'clock anymore.
Right.
And then in 6 months, we'll get 2 o'clock twice. Hell yeah, baby. Yeah, I'm doing all right. I realized that, like, it got up to almost 80 degrees over here. Fahrenheit, John.
I was gonna say, like, 80 sounds pretty warm, man. I can't even stand like 38.
Yeah, what is it? The Rebels unit. You know?
The Rebels unit. Ah, yes.
Yes. And today is the day that my AC decided to maybe not work. So the house has been like 78, 79. It has matched the outdoor temperature for the last 6 hours. And your boy is sweating. Sweaty boy LP. So my name is nothing if like fodder for just like joke adaptations. Self-care, how are you doing? I know I asked before the show, but
You're what?
I'm always sleepy. That is
sleepy,
just like my given state.
yeah, at any point in time.
It's my personality. It's just it's like I'm outgoing, sleepy, like to sleep outside.
I got 100% sleep score in Pokemon Sleep, so I'm
Man,
does that mean you're literally unconscious or what?
Great.
No, it just means she's really good at sleeping.
Ah, man, I'm jealous.
Yeah, I wish
like
I
I
had
have
that
my melatonin right next to me to take towards the end of this to go to bed. So like
Oh man. Perfect.
I hope that melatonin wasn't bought for Pokemon Sleep. That would just be
Isn't that pay to win?
Oh no, I need it.
Okay, gotcha.
It's for me. Is chat working? Hold on. somebody else go into this video. Hold on, let me do the Twitter thing. Tell everyone that we're live and that we're gonna do some Q&A. So, folks, hopefully chat's working. Give us some of your questions.
I see squids.
That was me. Cause like I don't know if it like accidentally turned on members only or something like that. Let me just make sure.
Subscribers only mode.
Oh, okay. Well, look, what better time to subscribe than right now? You don't have to pay. It's free.
Heck yeah.
Let me just check. Yeah, people is talking. Hello. Yeah. There we go. All right, let me just send out this tweet to let everyone know we're live. But give us your questions. We'll answer them. It can either be based on whatever it is that we're talking about this month, or anything else. How are we all ready for PAX East?
Yeah, kinda. I'll be there. Kinda. My weird plan is I'm gonna go there just to hit up all the Massachusetts bar style pizza places, and I might not have time for PAX at all, but I am going down there in case there's any YouTubers that want to hang out for a brief moment while I'm doing this crazy pizza caspade. I don't think that's a real word. It's not even close to a real word, but I went with it.
Pizzcapade? Yeah.
Pizzcapade. There you go.
Yeah,
I like that.
There it is.
Boston has good pizza.
Oh yeah, well, south of Boston, yeah. They have these like 10-inch long bar style pizzas that are really thin. The cheese goes all the way to the crust, so there technically is no crust, and they have like a nice like slightly burnt edges, and it's like this really thin, crispy.
Oh, like the flatbread ones. Yeah, no, those are really good.
Yeah, it's definitely like I haven't been able to find anything like it out west, so it's something that I'm really excited to go back and try out some new locations and stuff. But I have some my personal favorites. So, like Venus Cafe in Whitman, that is the #1 spot. And also Linwood in Randolph, if anybody from Massachusetts is watching. So, super good pizzas, very unique. Love them.
Well, I am a YouTuber, and we can probably hang out if you want to get some pizza. I do like pizza.
Yeah, I would love to take a moment. If you want to if you want to take a little time out of PAX East to get a pizza pie with Shesez,
yeah,
absolutely.
Look who actually needs to go to PAX East at this point. Like, I feel like half of us have already been there enough times. We know how it works.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like, for me, there's just so many things just outside the convention that are way more interesting. So
like
I'm
the
just
Dunkin'
going there
Donuts.
At the same time. Yeah, America runs on Dunkin'.
Yeah,
so
Bostonians run on Dunkin'. It's wicked good.
It's wicked good.
Oh, there's that accent right there, buddy. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I come from Boston. It like comes to me kind of naturally. But the funny thing is that like that accent, my entire life I didn't even realize it was surrounding me at all times. But it was always the people that managed to survive the '80s, is the way I'll put it best. they typically had the Boston accent.
that was the same issue I have. So I'm from the east coast of Canada, a place called Newfoundland, and they've got a very, very distinct accent, and grew up around it. But like everyone was like, whenever people would come visit, it was like, oh, you talk so like plain and normal compared to everyone else around here. I can understand what you're saying perfectly. I'm like, thank you. And then when I moved up to the west coast, they were like, oh, you don't have an accent, or like your accent's very subtle. I'm like, cool, because like if I had my accent, half the people here wouldn't understand me. So
yeah, I get that a lot after I moved out west too. It's like people hear I'm from Boston, they have one or two reactions. Either they're like, you don't have the accent really, or they're like, oh, you're not oh, can I swear on this?
You can swear a little bit, yeah.
They typically say, hey, you're not an asshole, so it's like, like, well, thank you very much.
Thanks, I guess.
The one thing though that was like, it's a regional dialect sort of thing, and I found out from doing YouTube videos, was the word room. So like I never, and nobody around me ever said the word room. And apparently that's the correct way to say it. It sounds so proper to me and everybody that lived in Massachusetts, because we say rum.
Yeah.
And, like, I would get all sorts of comments on YouTube that said like RUM, like rum. So like I was like, what's going on here? And then I had to kind of figure it out and ask some people, and they're like, you're saying rum instead of room. I'm like, oh, okay. And then I like asked all my buddies. I was like, I wrote it down. I was like, what does this word say? And they'd say like, it's rum.
It's rum.
You know? Like, yeah.
What are you talking about?
It's rum. Yeah. Bada boom.
I get that all the time for the way I say tomorrow.
Yeah.
Isn't it tomorrow is what you're supposed to say or something like that?
Well, that's the thick American accent coming out. Like
So
when you
tomorrow
say it,
Tomorrow or something.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know what
when
it is I
you're-
say, but everyone keeps giving me crap about it.
that's when your Canadian comes out.
Or how
So-
about the
tomorrow,
words
eh?
that people just flat out say wrong? I had a buddy of mine who insisted his whole family would say bagel instead of bagel.
Oh, I love bagel.
It's like, are we playing a game of boggle or are we having a nice, delicious, fluffy treat? I guess.
Yeah.
Fluffy treat. I don't know how you would describe a bagel, like offhand.
Fluffy? Well, like egg
Hey,
bagels.
you can have
Egg
a fluff
bagels have
Bagel
a
can
little
be
bit
fluffy.
of a fluff.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're kind of like they're squishy. Yeah. Poofed out.
I think squishy's
Squishy.
better than
Poofed
fluffy.
out. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I want my
Squishy.
bagel poofed out.
I'll say I'm,
Yeah.
I'm from New Jersey, so I have very strong opinions on both bagels and pizza.
That all makes sense.
So
now.
what is the New Jersey style pizza like? Like if there was
It's
like a
Same as the New York style. So we
It's got
share
the
the style
flop.
of pizza. It's the thin, big slices.
yeah, you got the flop. You got to hold it like a taco,
Yeah.
right?
You gotta
taco
fold
your
it in.
pizza.
You gotta do the fold. And you're not doing the fold correctly. You gotta do the fold correctly.
She's like, I don't know what you guys are talking about.
No, I know what you're talking about. You can
Oh,
do
okay.
I mean, you can do the fold. You can do a fork and knife. I have no judgment on how you eat pizza as long as it's not like.
Oh wow! I always hear
Oh,
people
okay.
judge the fork and knife.
oh
Yeah,
yeah, that
I'm-
was like a thing back like long even before like Trump became president. There was an episode of The Daily Show where they made fun of how he ate a pizza with fork and knife.
It's like a whole politician thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Politicians like they don't want to be caught with a photo of them just gnawing on a pizza, so they do the fork and knife, and yeah,
And
I've
not
never
doing it
seen.
correctly.
Yeah. Which again, I mean, to me, that's all so ridiculous. It's like eat pizza how you want to eat pizza. Absolutely. For me, when I go with a New York slice, or I guess a Jersey slice in this case, like I would definitely taco it just so you can, get a nice big bite out
Yeah,
of
nice
it.
big handful.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I live in Indiana now. Worst pizza out of like any place
Really?
I've ever visited. Yeah, they just load on the cheese even if you don't ask for extra cheese, and it always comes out like really pale looking
Oh.
and like
You.
yeah. So they kind of undercook it a little bit, and it's just loaded with lots and lots of cheese. So not my favorite. Thankfully, there is a restaurant that's dedicated to making New York style pizza called New York Slice. So I just go there if I ever want to order a pizza. But these days, I just make my own at this point. 'Cause
Okay.
It's infinitely better. Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Here, let me see if there's. Do we have any additional questions from chat? So far this entire time I've gotten the word out on just one social media outlet. Being a full-time content creator is tough, isn't it, guys?
Hey, I saw you posted on Threads too.
I did, but now I didn't like post the link on Threads. Now I have to like fix whatever the heck I did here. It's fine. It'll all get fixed eventually.
Oh, there we go. I got the blue sky retweet. Or
There you go.
Reskeet, whatever it's called.
The what?
Yeah, I think reskeet is the joke name that they use.
No. Why?
Oh, I don't think it's official. I think it's just a joke thing that people do. I'm gonna go out on a limb and assume.
You don't like my skeets? Very proud of my skeets. Hold on. Just threads and threads of them.
So many.
Well, let's see. What games have you all been? Look, it like
There he
magic.
is.
What the hell?
Told you.
Ta-da.
Beautiful.
That is definitely fluffier.
I told you it would be fluffier.
Like a bagel. What games have we been playing so far? I've been entranced by 7 Rebirth.
Video games
Uh,
exist.
Yeah. Have you
Sure
finished it
do.
yet? Or are you close to finishing it?
I'm in like smack dab in the middle of chapter 4, so I've been
Oh.
I'm about to go up the elevator because the amount of extra stuff that you get to do is actually not only much more varied than in Remake, but it's paced better. So like one of my main problems with 16 actually was that you do like one story thing, and then you'd have like 5 additional subquests. You do those 5 subquests, you get to like one point. You don't even finish the chapter. You just like do one like little story thing. 5 additional subquests come up. And so you're just kind of like, this pacing is just super awkward for me who wants to get everything done before I reach credits. And so it just got to a point where like I kind of realized that the pacing in 16 was just not very good. But 7 does it a lot better. The subquests themselves are like really fun to do, even if a lot of them are very samey. It's just like the way that they're told is, in my opinion, way better. And it kind of brings back some of like the goofy Final Fantasy that hasn't really been in this. It's been like on and off in the series, like, you know, like the cup noodle mission in Final Fantasy 15, like the actual sponsored content. But it most of all like fixes the thing that I had a problem with Remake, was because Midgar is so on rails for the most part. You don't really get a lot of time to work with, understand, and get better at the combat system. And because Rebirth is such a big open world, or a big open space, you have the ability to just kind of wander around, get into random fights, practice things, experiment, just overall get better at the system. And I'm like, this is what I wanted from Remake that I didn't get. And so I'm having a way better time with Rebirth so far. So like, this is only, you know, midway through March, and I'm already considering this like my game of the year, if not like top 3. Easy.
Oh, wow.
Easy.
That's
Dang.
awesome. Yeah, well, I'm glad you're having a good time with it. And chapter 4, I think there's still quite a ways to go. I think there's in total 12 or 14 chapters, something like that.
Yeah, I think it's like I think it is 13, yeah. Because I think it was 13
Okay. Right in the
last
middle.
time, or 15. It was something weird.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Yeah, I haven't played it myself, but I am really impressed by the amount of mini games that have been shown off, both in the trailer and people's footage on Twitter and stuff like that. Like, that's amazing. I'm glad to see that all those mini games have come back and that they're fleshed out in a way that I wasn't even expecting. I kind of thought it would just be like almost like a carbon copy for the most part for what you saw in the original 7,
Yeah.
just to keep it as simple as possible. But the fact that like you can really get lost in those mini games is incredible. Like I got big kudos for that. And then the open world, I've been so confused about what this open world is. So I've heard reports that it's like zones, but then I hear people saying like, no, it's fully interconnected. So it's not zones. It's, you know, it's a fully immersed world. You're not like picking locations and I don't know, but like I keep hearing like conflicting reports about whether it's zones or if it's an open area. At least I know it's not like Grand Theft Auto levels of open world, but like I imagine it's all interconnected in some way.
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. So like you have large open spaces, but it's not like Legends Arceus where you have one hub town and then you like get to choose your space and then you like load into it. It's more so, in my opinion, like it's sort of like 15, but imagine multiple large open spaces that are kind of divided by a town. So you have these large open spaces, you go to a town, and then you go to the next large open space, and then you go to the next town. So in a way, you couldn't necessarily go anywhere, and I think like it's too early for me to tell how they would like use stuff like the high wind and things. I don't even think, based on what I've seen with interviews and knowing what I know about the actual game story, you don't get to fly the high wind at that, before disc 1's over. So like there is stuff that you can do. It's not open zone in the same way that other games are, but it kind of is.
So from the way you describe it, would it make sense if I said it's sort of like Ocarina of Time if there was a new Hyrule field after every location and it's still like it's a line instead of a web? So, with Ocarina of Time, you have the Hyrule field in the center,
Yeah.
and then you have all these locations that branch off, right?
Yeah.
What if instead it's sort of like Hyrule Field, Castle Town, a whole new Hyrule Field, then Kakariko Village, then a whole new Hyrule Field, and then it's like I don't know, Gerudo Valley. Would that make sense?
That's like that, except and then the big, I guess, reason why it sounds conflicting is that there's absolutely zero loading. So imagine as Link, you could walk from your home in Kakariko Village to the complete opposite side of the map, and you don't have to load a single thing.
Okay, so to me, that's not zones. That's because when I hear zones, I immediately it's like a turn off in terms of like open world exploration and stuff like that. If I can feel fully immersed in the world, then that's a huge selling point to me when it comes to a game.
Yeah.
So it's sort of weird to hear people defining it as zones, I guess.
Yeah.
Especially when you say there's no
loading
loadings at all.
The only time it loads that I can think of is with things like fast travel, and obviously like loading the game initially. There isn't really, there isn't even loading like when you use the battle simulator and like you go out of the battle simulator, you just go straight back into the game. But that's like power of the PS5, baby. And that's one of the things that the producer talked about, how like, we could only do this on PS5. And like, you probably could do this on a PC, but you probably need an SSD. But yeah, I think the conversation then goes to like, if you do get the ability to fly, are you going to be able to fly everywhere and not worry about loading screens? Because now the game doesn't necessarily, it can't control where you're going based on this pathing that they've done. So that, I guess, is like how that's going to work. I don't know how that'll work for like part 3, or if the high wind, or if there's like some kind of fast travel or like actual on map travel without having to like go from point to point. So
Gotcha.
What have you guys been playing? Well, I still stall for time.
I just treated myself to a Steam Deck. So I've been playing a lot of Coral Island, and it is so relaxing and calming. And you can even change in the settings how long the days are. So the days I made them so they're like 40 minutes a day instead of 20 minutes a day. So I'm like, I can get everything done. I can do all the farming. Now
that is a feature I wish more games had, like Stardew Valley, or what's the recent one I played? I think it was called Dinkums. It was like an island adventure game and stuff like that. But being able to choose how long, that'd be amazing.
Yeah,
I haven't heard of this one though. Coral Adventure is what is it called?
Coral Island. It's like even the characters are very fleshed out and like they're all very pretty. It's a fun time.
That's awesome. So is it farm sim? Is that like kind of what they go for?
Yeah, it's definitely a farm sim.
Very cool. So have you played like a good collection of farm sims up to this point? Do you have like a ranking for it?
I will say, like, I don't finish most of my games. I'm ADHD, so I'm autistic and ADHD. So concentrating on things is hard. But I don't think I can rank them. I do also love Stardew Valley, which is the other big one. I don't know. There definitely are some that I'm like, you don't need to spend as much time playing them. It's fine. But we don't need to talk about those ones. I also love Ooblets. Ooblets is another one of my favorite farming games, but like it's because like they write such fun, unique lines for all the characters in the town, so it's very clever.
I gotta write these into the chat so I can check them out later. So it's Ooblets. Let me see. How do I get back? Okay, Ooblets.
How to get back?
And I probably spelt that wrong. And what's the other one?
Coral Island.
Coral Island. Okay, cool. I will definitely check those out. Because I've played a handful of them now at this point, but those two I still have not heard of. this genre is just booming right now. I'll tell you that.
Oh
There's
yeah.
definitely no shortage of options.
There are so many cozy games, and so many more keep coming out each month. And I'm like, which ones do I even have the time to play?
I can't be this cozy at all times.
No.
All right, I've opened up to anyone can send a message. I finally got around to that. So if anybody has any additional questions, feel free to ask them. Otherwise, we can take a quick break and then we'll go ahead and get started with the actual episode.
Okay.
Yeah. John, what have you been playing?
I actually haven't been playing much. I played through that Mario vs. Donkey Kong remake and realized I like Donkey Kong 94 way more.
Yes. Sorry.
But yeah, no, you're right, because it's just like, I don't know. Okay, then maybe you can answer this. Is it just me, or does it just control not right? Like the remake, I don't remember the Game Boy Advance version not being as like weirdly squirrely with the controls.
I did not play the remake. I thought the original Game Boy Advance one was good enough to leave that experience where it was, but like it did confuse me a little bit that Donkey Kong 94 was not the one that got the remake outside of this one, because I mean I could also see some maybe like there was a little bit of tough decision making in terms of, do we make DK modern or do we go with that classic DK look because it's supposed to be that? I don't think that really played a huge part though. So ultimately, I feel like this is just sort of like an attempt to revive the Mario vs. Donkey Kong franchise. But still, at the end of the day, I feel like at the very least they should have started with Donkey Kong 94, because that one's
or
just
put them
fleshed out.
both
It's
in
more
the same
charming.
cart or something.
That's true.
Yeah, it's got tighter controls. It's got much more interesting environments that would look great with a remake, and also the fact that it's on an original Game Boy and it was monochromatic to start with, like it would benefit so greatly from a remake as opposed to Mario
I mean,
vs.
it was
Donkey
one of the
Kong.
first Super Game Boy games too, so like it had like the special background, the colors, and everything. So
yeah,
even improved sound.
It had improved sound. Oh, that's right. They had the voices included with the Super Game Boy, right?
So Pauline goes from like the weird like to like help.
Oh yeah.
That was pretty cool. But I mean, like I'm right there with you. Like as far as remakes go, that would be like a prime cut choice. So
exactly.
A little bit confusing about the Mario vs. Donkey Kong thing. I'm not one of those ones that feels like it can't exist, but at the same time too, it's sort of like, man, we'll move on to the next thing when it gets there, I guess.
I heard it was the North American team that did the remake for Mario vs. Donkey Kong, because I think they made the original Mario vs. Donkey Kong, but I don't think they did 94, which is probably why that got remade instead of 94. That would make sense to me. So
that makes a ton of sense. Yeah, I can't even imagine the original team still being assembled in Japan at this point. But
yeah, I was gonna say I have not been gaming all that much. I've actually been doing Lego instead. I am working on the Lego Pac-Man kit currently.
So,
nice, that's cool.
Hell yeah!
It even lights up and everything. It's cool. But like I'm on like bag 6 of like 14, so I've got a ways to go on this thing.
Oof.
But it did give me this fun little topper where I can just press a button and they just kind of turn around.
Oh hell yeah!
Lego engineering is cool as heck, man.
That is amazing.
I'll always remember the when they tried to do Lego soccer, and they had the like little like Lego figures that you put on these little sticks, and then you'd like pull them back and then just kind of flick them, and then they would technically like kick the soccer ball. I'm the only person that
I have the PS2 Lego Soccer Mania, so maybe they made a video game out of that.
They might have. They were really desperate to get people to use that. And that was right there in their Bionicle years. Ah, yeah, okay. Greenie in chat knows. There we go. There we go. Emperor P has asked us a question. Best exciting flavor of ice cream. Best exciting flavor of ice cream?
Exciting flavor?
So if it's just if my favorite is vanilla, then I skip it.
Vanilla's too boring. You must eat Neapolitan at best.
I get, it keeps the answer fresh, I guess. I
yeah.
don't know. I think for
cookies
me,
and cream.
Green tea is a great weird flavor, and also bubblegum. I love bubblegum.
Bubblegum's a good one. Yeah.
Oh, do you guys have, I think it's like Tiger Stripe ice cream? I keep hearing that might be a Canadian exclusive.
We have something, I don't know if it's the same thing, but we have something called like superhero ice cream or something like that.
Yeah. Which
it has like red, blue, and green or yellow. and it has a unique flavor all on its own. And the first time I ever had that flavor was like a Bozo the Clown licensed ice cream that you would get off the ice cream truck, and it had the same exact flavor as that. And then that got changed to Looney Tunes ice cream, but it was all the same thing. And yeah, that's a fantastic flavor. I don't know if it's the same as Tiger Stripe.
Tiger Stripe seems to be orange flavored ice cream with a continuous stripe of black licorice. So I guess it's orange and black licorice ice cream. I've only ever seen it in Canada, so I don't know.
Well, is that a flavor you like?
I mean, I'm pretty boring. I usually just do vanilla or cookies and cream. So
I'm always a cookie dough guy.
Yeah, I'm not super adventurous when it comes to food in general. I don't know about all you guys, but
I love being coffee adventurous. Ice cream or cotton candy.
Oh yeah,
cotton candy ice cream, good choice.
Yeah, I get super adventurous with my ice cream flavors. So, like, I will do the Mountain Dew flavored ice cream. I've had that before. It's really good. I know that sounds horrendous, but it doesn't taste exactly like Mountain Dew because of the vanilla base flavor, and I've had it more than once, I'll admit. So
I've been a huge fan of cookies and cream, but like, have you heard that Taco Bell's like gonna try to do a Baja Blast gelato? I'm
waiting. I don't know if it's gonna show up at any of the locations that I live near, but if it does,
better show up on mine.
I don't think that's gonna be terrible.
It sounds pretty good. I would go for it.
I'm down.
Yeah, chat's up for it. So Hunter Persian says, I'm always a chocolate, but lemon ice cream is so good. Nice.
Ooh.
Yeah, I haven't tried that either. All right. If there are no more questions, you can always Baja the Blast. Boy, I tell you what.
Boy, I tell you.
That was good.
My favorite thing to eat.
Boy, ain't right.
That laughing boy ain't right. Look. You know what YouTube lets me do? Every month, it allows me to gift up to 10 memberships to the channel. And it's free. I don't even make any money off of this. So because everyone's here during the Q&A session, here you go. There's 5 gift subs. Stay tuned, because we're gonna go on break, and then after we come back from break, Did it just say I gifted 0 memberships? I saw that. Why is it doing it twice? What is happening?
So many sponsors.
What the hell? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think Stream Elements is on drugs. Anyway, if you didn't get a membership, there should be 5 more to collect. So just stay tuned. Once we get back from break, y'all are going, sponsored by NordVPN. Then we're gonna do our actual DialogBOX episode. Oh, I see. Interesting. And then once we get to the end of that episode, for everyone that sticks around, we'll do 5 more. Okay, so this is our grande tier. This is our $5 level of gift subs, and that will get you emotes, that will get you access and special roles in the Discord, that will get you early access to videos, and then, depending on how I feel, maybe exclusive videos on the channel. So thank you for being here. I appreciate you. I hope you appreciate my 3 lovely guests. And yes, they did rework chat on YouTube. Yay. We're going to go on break for a little bit, so don't go nowhere. We'll be right back. And after these messages, we will be starting our next episode of DialogBOX. This thing is still going. What is happening? Why? We'll be back. Where's the button? Just come on. Let's go. Be right back. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another fantastic episode 47, I believe, of DialogBOX. I'm your host, Laughing Boy. And I'm joined here by three very lovely guests. First off, we're just going to go straight into this. We've got content creator and streamer over at twitch.tv/ProtonJon. It's ProtonJon. Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
That button, that button didn't work. That went to the... Nope.
I'll just keep doing this and hope that eventually it will be actually me on the screen. Hello,
Hey!
hi. Oh, hey! There tries a charm. There we go.
Second on the list, we've got creator of Boundary Break over on YouTube.com. It's Shesez. Hello.
Hi. What's up?
It's this button. There we... Hey!
Oh, there we go.
Hey, got it faster. There we go.
There it is. And then finally, I won't screw this button up because, I mean, I can't possibly do this 3 times in a row. We have full-time social media manager and streamer creator, as well as self-care mental health advocate. We have selfcaregamer. Hi, for the first time on the show. Welcome.
Hi there. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. You know why?
you
Because
figured out
video...
the button.
Because YouTube is busted.
Are you sure that's something to be excited about? I think I
I
might have
hope
got
there's
mixed
a
signals here.
Yay! Hey!
Hey, our jobs are in
Hey!
trouble.
Yay!
Ooh.
Ooh.
I can see the
Wait, was that
lightning.
lightning in the background?
Yeah. We got a storm going on in the background. So if I drop out, it's because the power went out.
Bum, 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 bum.
That's actually really
Oh,
appropriate that that's
wow.
happening while we're talking about YouTube going down
Amazing.
the pooper.
The fall of
So-
YouTube. I heard that.
Oh, you heard the thunder?
I heard
Yeah,
it.
I can hear it too, actually.
Yeah, that's some rolling thunder too. And we know that it's not terribly close because I saw that flash 7 seconds before the actual the noise of the thunder.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
I had a lightning bolt strike my backyard today, so.
Oh, hell yeah.
Ooh.
Was it
Yeah,
cool?
Really cool. It was very cool. It frightened everyone, but we're all good. We're all safe.
All right. Baby safe.
Yeah.
You know what's not safe? Being on youtube.com.
Which
In
is
case-
why we're on there right now.
In case you're new to the show, this is DialogBOX. It is a monthly podcast where I grab all the people you love to watch and force them to talk about video games with me for about an hour and a half. You can watch the show live with video over at youtube.com/laughingboylp. If you want to support us for free, you can either subscribe to the YouTube channel and chat with us during the live streams, and you can also, hit that like button and leave a nice little comment letting us know what you think of the show. The like one is so easy. You could do it right now. If everyone did this right now, I would have more likes than I've ever had on any video in like 3 years.
Please like.
Yeah.
I gave it a like.
You watched the show?
Shocking, I know.
Yeah. If you prefer just listening to the podcast instead, you can get the audio-only version over on Spotify a day or two later or wherever you like to get your podcasts. But it's on most of them. Just search for DialogBOX, all one word, DialogBOX. You know what's not dialogue? YouTube.
Also true.
That segue.
We've done this segue 3 times now, and each time it's been basically true.
It's been so true. Look, we've had a surprising number of YouTubers and content creators suddenly announcing their retirement. Not just, a wide swath of just kind of like everybody, but like very prolific YouTubers. A lot of this came as a shock to most of their fans, especially since a lot of them were still kind of like in their prime. You had like Tom Scott, you had Captain Sparkles, and just recently MatPat released his final video for Game Theory. Although he'll be taking more of a backseat, he will no longer be participating in continual video uploads. So with that, I think there needs to be some kind of conversation around what's been going on, and I wanted to grab some full-time content creators. And I think I got very lucky tonight because I have 3 different people that kind of share some content like experience, but for the most part, I think kind of have a very specific like role to play. So we have, for example, like social media, that has its own ups and downs. We have YouTube and we have Twitch streaming, and all of those different experiences I think are going to be very helpful, or interesting to talk about for the context of this show. But speaking of like full-time content creation, I think I want to kind of get this out of the way and have you guys kind of talk about your experiences. What does full-time content creation mean to you all, especially when it comes to your day-to-day? And John, I'm going to hit the right button and it's going to go to you because you can start.
Are you sure? Are you sure?
It is! Yay!
Sure?
Hey! Oh, no, I got to hide the... look, it's been really hot in this house, so just oh no, wait, they didn't see it because I switched over. No, I didn't do anything.
You're fine. Don't worry.
Yeah.
What does it full-time mean to me? Like, for me, because I'm a full-time streamer, like, I say full-time, but I usually dedicate myself to three 6-hour broadcasts a week, and then there's like a weekly podcast. Sometimes it's 2 podcasts. It's basically, I have 3 guaranteed, like, I work these days, I'm locked in, these don't change, and then I have a bunch of flex days where I'm just like, okay, these are either like my day off where I get to relax, or these are like, okay, someone wants to do something here, so now I can do this, I can do a collab, I can hang with friends, whatever. So basically it means like half my week is guaranteed work and the other half it could be work. You never know. It probably will be.
Right.
Not too bad.
Yeah, self-care. What about you?
Who, me?
No, self-care. Self-care gamer.
Oh, sorry.
You're Shesez.
Yeah, well, so I'm a full-time social media manager in the healthcare field. So I do social media every single day, and then when I get off work, I do more social media to help build up the community and talk to people, because that's what I like to do for fun. So I kind of spend a lot of time on my phone, probably too much time, but that's what my content creation is like right now. Is just going to work, doing social media for work, and then doing social media or streaming, or I just started making videos for YouTube, so figuring out how to balance all of that.
Okay. So I'm starting to see a little bit of a theme here, but Shesez, let's talk about what it means to you as well. And I'm going to hit the button. It's going to go to the right person.
Oh,
there we go.
Clean my eye. Yeah, for me, it's lately, I'll talk about both times. So like in the earlier years, I was single and, no kids or anything like that. So the only responsibility I had was to make content. And so I would overwork myself, just kind of making a YouTube video throughout the entire day. Like, obviously, I also have a sense of making sure that I have a life outside of YouTube back then, and I would hang out with friends and, meet people, go places, do things. But there would definitely be like 12-hour days if I really wanted to grind out some work. Sometimes it would be like 8 to 9, and it's all because it's the idea that the more you work, the faster you work, the more content you can put out, and the faster you can grow, and the faster you can build your audience. And there's this hope, this dream that you do that enough, and eventually you get over the mountain, you get over the hill basically, and suddenly the content just sort of serves itself with all the massive fan base and all that stuff. And these days I realized that it didn't happen for me. And so now it's a combination of spending half the day taking care of my daughter, and then when my partner comes home, then I'm just grinding out work immediately. So there's like a lot less time for just myself now these days, and I do try to maximize the amount of time I can work in that window. So it's like from 6 o'clock. No, not 6 o'clock. It's like usually like 4:30 to about 11, 12 midnight, and then I go to sleep. And once the video is done, that's when I give myself like around 2 to 3 days to just take off, But getting a video ready in time, at least not as recently, it would take about 2 weeks. So it would be like 2 weeks of grind and 3 days off or something like that. But like now I'm trying to work faster because of the topic that we'll probably get into later in this discussion. So it's fewer days off. It's like usually like 1 day off, 2 days off, or something like that if I'm lucky.
Right. Yeah, I think that's kind of the crux of the issue, and kind of where we'll be going on with the next question. I mean, something that I kind of thought about as I was doing the research for this is that, you know, so about a month ago, close to a month ago, I put out like an ad asking for full-time content creators with several years of experience, you know, just doing the thing, like doing the grind, however you'd like to call it. But then as I thought about my day-to-day, so I am not a full-time creator. I am 100% a part-time. And in reality, I think all that meant to me was that this is not my main source of income. Like YouTube, Twitch, podcasting, like the reality is that this is not how I make a living. Like this is not how I live. But in order to find some kind of success on the platform, I feel like I have to constantly be thinking about the next thing. Most of the time I'm doing that during work hours, which is probably something I shouldn't be saying, but like it's even like small stuff like social media posts or getting people together for a collaboration. It's minor things that I can do during the work hours where it doesn't actually get in the way of my work. But ultimately, I am still thinking about what the next thing is that I might want to do or that I can do. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that you can spend hours upon hours upon hours of creating something and wanting to get it just right, for an audience that will pick it up and pretty much put it down in a fraction of the time that it took you to work on it. And you just have to look to the next thing. So I started realizing that, especially if you want to find some kind of success on social media or Twitch streaming or on YouTube, that like it's full time whether you like it or not. And there really isn't that much of a difference between full time and part time at that point. I wonder how you guys kind of think about that.
Someone want to take that first?
I just opened it up. So,
yeah, I mean, it's true. Like, at least in terms of the nature of my content, it's if you take too long to decide what your next video is going to be, you're falling behind. And, you know, the YouTube's algorithm, it seems to kind of, like in my case, it seems to know, like, when you've taken a little bit too long to put out a video. And so you just see, like, the discoverability of your older videos just plummet after a certain day. And so obviously that happens a lot faster if you have a dud video. And so there's more pressure to even work even faster at that point, which can definitely cause you to constantly be tied into, you know, this cycle of trying to make content. So in that respect, I guess I could see what you're talking about for sure. I mean, like the fact that like I went from part-time YouTubing to full-time pretty quickly. It's hard to remember or relate to what it was like to have a full-time job moving into or rather sharing that time with YouTube. But like back then I didn't mind, but it was definitely like a super grind. It was like I'd get off work at 6 and then like I said, you know, with no other responsibilities, I spent a insane amount of time just going right to home to work on a YouTube video just so I could do weekly uploads to see how far I could push this thing. And, you know, thankfully in that respect, it managed to evolve into a full-time career. And so I jumped on that very quickly because I do try to value quality time, you know, enjoying life with your career. And, yeah, I mean, like now as a full-time YouTuber, it is a little bit more difficult these days, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And selfcaregamer, do you mind if I continue to call you that, or is there a preferred name you'd like to go by?
Or you can call me Liv.
Liv? Okay, let's do that. You do the full-time social media management as a career, but then you also do Twitch streaming and YouTube on the side. So like, how does that what I had just recently, or what we've been talking about, how does that kind of like make you feel as well?
So like with comparing like part-time to full-time, I guess
Yeah.
that really just depends on like how much you want to put into it, and if you want to treat it, because like even if you're not making money, if you want to work towards success or just high engagement or any of that, like you will be treating it as a business. If you are just trying to do it for fun, which I feel like I do both aspects of being like, we do the marketing, we do the operations, like we run everything, but then like also it's like I'm gonna stream what I want to stream. If I'm sleepy, I'm going to bed. But if you want to actually keep that consistency up, you need a regular, consistent schedule. So it's definitely a lot to be doing both at the same time, but just trying to focus on what you can manage and what makes you comfortable.
Yeah. So moving on, I think, as I mentioned before, we've seen several like large scale YouTubers that just suddenly announced their retirement. A lot of them citing age, lack of time, or combating the algorithm as reasons as to why they didn't want to do it anymore. And, what is everyone's takeaway about hearing those announcements and their reasonings for it? Like, specifically the idea of I'm too tired to continue doing this.
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, a lot of those really big YouTubers can afford to walk away, to afford to retire and stuff like that, and focus on their families and stuff. Trust me, if I could do the same, I would do the same. Like, I would love to dedicate 100% of my time to my family, because it's just a different stage in my life, and there's definitely like a more rewarding feeling being with them now. But but I'm not a spot to be able to do that. Pat, I guarantee certainly is. And so like it is probably everything he says is probably true. And it's sort of like affording the luxury to do that is why you're seeing that with some of these very high profile YouTubers. I guarantee, like, yes, they're probably also seeing a decline on YouTube. They also at that level probably have insider information that we're not privy to. And so they just have the wherewithal to also walk away at this time. But like, yeah, I think ultimately it's like the fact that they can afford to walk away is probably why they're doing it at this stage.
Mm-hmm. John, how did you feel about it?
See, if we're going with like my side of things, we're just mainly focused on streaming. Like, it makes tons of sense, but like Sheets just said, like you can't walk away unless you have enough capital to kind of pull that off. The beauty of YouTube content in itself is the fact that you make content and it's there. It will keep building some sort of revenue for you, even though like, it's going to make less and less because the algorithm, whatever. With streaming, you kind of don't get that. You get it, you transfer it over to YouTube, you might get some views on it, but it's not going to make nearly as much as a dedicated video. And so if you're not making content, you're not making money. So like that's the struggle I have I have to pick and choose, like, do I want a paycheck this week or do I want to have mental stability? And I think that a lot of the guys that have kind of walked away from things are kind of at a point where they realize they were chasing the paycheck versus their own mental stability, even though they had the ability to walk away or just like even lower their content production rate.
Mm-hmm.
What was that article that was going around recently about like even Mr. Beast talking about how like he's so focused on content he's kind of lost track of like who he is as a person?
Yeah.
That one I didn't see.
Oh, so he basically was saying that like his whole personality, his whole life is centered around making content now. It's the only way he can keep up with the quality of content and the frequency of the content. And so his whole entire being is just dedicated to content creation right now, which is causing major suffering in terms of having a quality life outside of YouTube. And it's like he doesn't know what to do at this point because it's sort of like, how do you walk away from this level of success?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good summary of it, unless there's anything I'm missing.
No, that sounded pretty much it. Like he was saying things like he couldn't go on dates with his like girlfriend or wife, I forget, without it being related to content, because he looked at it like as every hour was like $100,000 lost or something like that. Like, which is like A, an insane amount of money,
Jesus.
and B, an insane thing to say about your partner.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, it's all very sad because he definitely has the means to like slow it down, take care of yourself, be with your partner.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing.
Absolutely.
And you know, that's the thing for me too, where it's like I have to it's a balance. You have to be able to have time for yourself. You have to have time for your family, whether that's a spouse, you know, newborn, friends, you know, distant or nearby relatives. Like it all dogs
or just you
or just
yourself.
You. Yeah, I mean, like there are so many times, and I think that's one of the big problems that I've had is like, how is it? It's not how do I turn this into content? It's how do I make the content so easy that I don't really have to work on it? Like the podcast, for example, like even if I have an editor helping me with the audio side of things, because I just realized like I had so many family issues going on at the time, I was like, I can't do this anymore. And I just had to basically say like, I need somebody to help me with this. But in terms of YouTube, it's like, great, I have a video on my channel every month. Guaranteed almost, unless I decide not to do it. And it's just a live stream. Like once this live stream's over, there are some things that I, you know, snip out of the video, like the starting soon and the BRBs part, but otherwise like content's done. And then all that goes into like, how am I going to be able to balance everything? Because my wife will kill me if I go immediately from work to creating content, and I don't want to do that either, because I just want to be able to like stop for a moment and just like sit down with her and just watch TV for like a couple hours.
That sounds nice. So I'm right there in the same boat as you, believe it or not. Like with Boundary Break, it's been on a decline, and it's really like it's a lot of work to get an episode out. There's a lot of things that are involved, and so a lot of time gets put into it. And like what I'm seeing a lot with YouTube is like there's a lot of people that are seeing a lot more success and also being a lot happier with processes that have more automation to it, that are a lot easier to do, like you just mentioned. And so like that's why like even though it's more work at the moment, I'm also doing side channel stuff. Like I'm trying to do news type stuff where all I do is I just come up with a news topic that I'm actually passionate and interested in, hit record on the camera, talk about it for 7 minutes, and then hop off of it and send it to an editor to turn it into quality content, basically. And like I'm hoping that'll take off. That would be amazing. And it's right now it's just meant to be sort of like supplementary income. But obviously if that's like something that can really take off, it's not going to replace Boundary Break. I would never completely walk away from that, but that would definitely be something where I could shift priorities so that I could afford some time, you know, so that I can just like do like 2 episodes of Boundary Break a month instead of 4 or something, and just focus on the quality of that show, and just be, you know, as a way of being dedicated to the fans, but also just have another means of making, you know, a livable income on the YouTube platform and not have to put as much work in. So like, it's interesting that you just mentioned that about how like you try to find a streamlined process. It's same over here. Like I have 2 other channels that are just meant to be super easy, but also have content value.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've thought about it is basically what I'm trying to add to that.
Liver John, do you have anything to add to that?
I'm sorry, I thought you said Liver John. I was like, who's Liver John?
I hope none of us get that nickname.
I've had worse.
No, but like so I've been trying to like start making YouTube videos, but like I when I first started streaming, I've just started watching a lot of Twitch, but in years ago, like all I watched was YouTube. So now I'm back trying to watch YouTube videos to be like, what what do you make now? And it's all just very clickbaity. That's what the algorithm likes. Like people will make mean titles, so like that the videos they're not actually mean. Like I miss the classic let's play video style, which it feels like that would be less work than just trying to figure out some sort of interesting controversy topic to make your video about, and to like edit it all down to 15-20 minutes, because that's all people can handle at this point. So it's definitely, the algorithms have definitely changed for YouTube.
Yeah, I mean,
it's always changing. It's so frustrating to have to keep up with what's trending and what the algorithm really wants, from viewers. It's like constantly shifting. Like I would say, like honestly, like you said, 15 minutes. These days, I would say that like YouTube either loves shorts, so like under a minute, the phone format,
vertical,
or like going above 40 minutes, because and the reason for that is if one video can be interesting enough for people and be 40 minutes or longer, you can put more ads throughout the entire video. And I think what ends up happening is the YouTube algorithm likes the idea of making more money off of a singular video. So it ends up recommending it to people more and stuff like that. So a trend that we're seeing now is like fall asleep to content, where you put on a video, you fall asleep to it, 50 Subway ads play while you're sleeping. And then YouTube makes a ton of money, you make a ton of money, and it just keeps like cycling into like, oh wow, that person watched a lot of Subway ads, maybe we should keep recommending this video to people. And so that's the game that people are playing now, which is it's interesting how things keep changing.
Yeah, I was thinking about this too, where we were talking about clickbaity titles, and I literally titled this stream, "Is the algorithm killing YouTube?" And I'm thinking about this from the concept of like, am I selling my soul? Maybe, but whatever. Because again, like, just we don't. And this is actually, luckily, the next question essentially is like, what does the algorithm mean to everybody? Because I think it means something different depending on where it is that we are. And I think with YouTube, you're right. Like we think the algorithm prefers long form videos. We have seen that it does work for some YouTubers, where all of a sudden like their view count is going up. You see people compiling their videos into one long form video, and then
second channel,
or stream VODs, just plop them over onto YouTube is a pretty easy way, especially if you do like 2 to 3 hour streams. I mean, this podcast, like, you can always just kind of do the same thing with with this podcast as well. It's like an hour and a half usually to 2 hours. But we don't know if that's going to stay the same way. We don't know if that's going to suddenly change. And that's not the same way that it works for everybody, especially versus Twitch and with social media. So I did want to ask very quickly, especially since we've already talked about it a little bit, but what does the algorithm mean to you in your particular career, and how has that impacted your ability to sustain your career? Shesez, I know you talked a little bit about it. I want to start with maybe Liv first, and we'll talk about social media, and then we'll kind of circle back.
The algorithm. It's like fun when I have people at work like ask me questions, like, oh, can we post this on social media? Or, oh, we did this before. Like, oh, what can we do right now? And I'm like, well, everything changed since last week, so we gotta change things up, or that does not work anymore. And please do not send me a PDF to post on social media ever again, or I will cry. But the algorithm is definitely constantly changing, and the algorithm is very funny on like text-based platforms for me, like personally, because I feel like for some reason they like me, and I don't know why. I'm never gonna know why, but like I will have sometimes the most weird tweet or threads post start to go viral, and I'm like, I didn't want other people to see this. I did not want this to go outside of my little neurodivergent bubble. But I don't trust the algorithm. I guess you just got to work with it, and you got to check each platform at least monthly to see like what did they change. Like at least there are like some wonderful social media gurus that will like post each month or they'll have a nice newsletter to be like, here's what you missed on Glee, and see what all the different platforms have changed. But yeah, you gotta just obey the algorithm.
Yeah.
For lack of a better term.
Constantly readapt.
Yeah, I think that's been the weirdest one because like I started trying to use TikTok, over the last year or so, and as a method of like showing shorts, and it's like, oh well, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. I think when I started using YouTube, my For You page was littered with like, this is how you get to do TikTok, like this is how you become successful on TikTok. And then that video would change like every other day. It's like, oh, you got to post at 9 a.m. No, really, you got to post at like 3 a.m. And it's like, there is no actual rule. And it seems like once the rule is figured out, it changes.
They change it.
Yeah. And I don't know if they do that to keep us on our toes or to make things fair. I sincerely do not understand it. And especially when a lot of these social media platforms start out in the first place, they're just begging for content. So everything gets promoted. But now TikTok is soon to be dead apparently, but also like a very prolific social media outlet, and so everyone is constantly making content for it. It doesn't need content, it has it at all times, and so it will kind of do what it wants in order to keep you on the site, in order to get ad revenue, and I think that's ultimately kind of where we're going. So like Shesez was talking about earlier, and we'll have him continue on that thought. How does the algorithm impact you, especially on YouTube? And how have you kind of like looked into that, and what does that mean for your content?
Do we want to start with John since he hasn't talked in a while? Or?
Sure, we can start with John.
All right.
I was trying to segue.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, you're good. John, talk.
It was smooth though. It was a nice transition.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't see it.
Just replace everything I said with Twitch.
No, because I can still respond to YouTube. You know I can do that. Hell, I've been doing Let's Play content online since like 2008.
Yeah. Oh, you have?
It was a 2007. Yeah, 2007, 2008. So I've been around long enough that I've seen the change firsthand.
That's right.
So like, yeah, like it's frustrating because basically I remember seeing the original drop in what happened. Like I remember there were animation channels everywhere. And then suddenly they all disappeared because the algorithm didn't want animation anymore. It wanted something else. And then now they're back again because I guess it changed its mind. Or like now because they're doing longer shows like Digital Circus and Has Been Hotel and stuff like that. Now it's like, okay, no, cool, we're cool with this or stuff like that. The algorithm is fucking frustrating. And as someone who just, I'm glad I moved to Twitch because like that is less algorithm hell. It is still kind of hell there in some sense, but like it always sucked making what I wanted to make, and which was just like, oh cool, I just want to do like a nice relaxed playthrough of like a game I like, and then being like, yeah, no, the algorithm decided to not send it out to your subscribers because they didn't click the bell or whatever gimmick they were doing at the time. And it's just like, okay, cool, so you basically can't even get me in contact with my own community because don't know why. And then I can't get growth outside of that because algorithm wants long form content. You cut like a 25-minute video, but we wanted 35, or like this week or this month 5-minute videos are the hot thing. It's just like chasing it's exhausting. It's kind of why I just moved over to doing streams as my main focus, because that was just, okay, just do whatever. And that it's almost like, okay, the games are what dictate the views, which makes way more sense to me and is so much easier versus like upload during the right full moon and just make sure that just make sure you put the right picture in the title. Put a picture of your face in the title, and then you're twice as likely to actually on the thumbnail, and then you'll get like twice as likely to get shown, and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
You either need to be a werewolf or an astrologist to be a YouTuber. You have to have the moon
pretty much.
Yeah, for me, like, you know, I've been doing it for about 7 years, I think maybe 8 years now, and there was definitely a huge boon for a while, and I kind of fit right into the correct format where they were looking for 10 to 20 minute videos. And I had this right niche. And the sad part is you just don't know whether or not it's you that's falling off, like you're just not connecting with your audience anymore, or if it is this algorithm shift or something like that. Like there's so many different factors I always constantly consider. I don't immediately just blame the algorithm for what happened to my channel personally. Like, for example, like during my time, there's been a lot more pop-up channels that just cover out of bounds content than ever before. Some are dedicated completely to horror. Some are dedicated completely to getting the cream of the crop and just doing like a listicles kind of thing. And but the point is that there's a lot more options in 2024 than there was in 2018. And so like I definitely consider that. And I also consider the fact that the algorithm has shifted quite a bit. There's definitely been a period of time where I saw a lot more low subscriber channels being recommended on the homepage. Like it was just like constant, like it was like almost the entire real estate of the homepage was just people under 10,000 subs. And that's cool, but obviously you want to hope to see a balance. You hope to see that YouTube will still send it out to your audiences, but definitely during that time, that's where I saw a pretty major dip. I know also that in, I think, September of 2023, a lot of fellow YouTubers that are like in the gaming space all experienced a major dip in views for whatever reason. It might have been because YouTube was now suddenly hyper fixated on shorts. And so like, again, the homepage is just dominated by shorts content and trying to keep people addicted to shorts content to compete against TikTok. It's all so hard to say. And that's the thing that really is demoralizing about doing this as a career, is that you constantly have to feel in the dark to figure out what it could be. And then, if you even try to strike a guess, don't try to do it publicly, because then people will just be like, well, why are you blaming it on that when it could have been this? Maybe it is like maybe you're just falling off, she says, and it's like, okay, fair enough. And yeah, but that's the tough part about it, is almost like there's almost like a nature behind not even discussing it, trying to figure out if there is something about it.
It's become like a taboo topic in a way.
Yeah. People almost immediately get upset at just hearing the word algorithm, because it feels like it's a deflection or something like that.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever experienced that or seen that?
I think it's really hard to talk about. And so last year in May, since it was Mental Health Awareness Month, I had Forrest Minish and Josh Jepson on the show. And one of the big key moments of that episode of the podcast was that there was a thing to be said about, like, if you are a content creator and like whether you're serious about it or not, if you publicly tell people that, oh, I don't care about the numbers, I just want to create, you are lying. Like, everyone at some point has looked at their numbers and has felt a certain way about that. And that goes into, I think, like the mental health and the burnout, especially of content creation, because you are constantly fighting something that is against you. Especially for a lot of like OG YouTubers, they've never really seen this thing before. And all of a sudden, I kind of saw it too. As a smaller channel, I was still pulling in hundreds of views on most of my videos. And I think sometime in like 2020, all of a sudden it just hit a hard dip. And you can even see in the analytics that YouTube isn't even like bothering to recommend it. And when it's that impressions number that you always see in the analytics corner that just doesn't seem to go up after a minute. And shorts are the most volatile of them all. Like, you have a short and you basically have like a 3-ish hour window as to whether or not that short will like take off, or if it just will just completely bomb and fail. So like, you might have a short that just gets like 8 views, and then your next short gets like 1,400 views, and you don't know why. Because there's no way to tell. You could upload the exact same short at 2 different times of the day and get completely different answers, and you don't even know if it's the time of day. So you know, it's hard to talk about the algorithm because anytime you do, you're worried that somebody's going to come out of the woodwork and be like, oh, well, you shouldn't care about that. Like, you should just care. You should just love to create. And it's like, well, you know, I want people to see what
That's not going to pay the bills, though.
Well, for full-time creators especially, like, this is a career. And people that are doing really, really well and all of a sudden seeing these dips, it's like, I could be out of a job tomorrow.
It's the sad reality. Well, you know, the thing is that to answer those people, I think we all do love to create. I think that's why we do it in the first place.
Yeah.
But it's the sad part is that at a certain point, you get this level of success and you can see yourself doing this dedicated, you know, like be able to invest your full self to do it and then be able to do something you love as a career. And then you're kind of in the hands of your career at that point when you make that choice. So as much as I will always say that most people love to create. And I think Liv mentioned a second ago that, was it Liv? Yeah, I think it was Liv that mentioned like there's some people that just sort of like, oh no, I think it was actually you that like mentioned something along the lines of that, you know, you kind of clickbait, you sell yourself a little bit. Though there's those people that exist out there. They're 100% just chasing the dollar.
Yeah.
But there's, you know, the type of content where the person is clearly passionate about what they're doing, what they're making. And if they happen to be making money alongside with that, it does suddenly become a counterweight. It's, you know, you kind of have to have a balance of sense of self versus trying to, you know, maintain a career and your livelihood, essentially. So it's like, it doesn't have to be one or the other. I think that's where people kind of get this misconception. I think it's this idea that you want to be able to do both.
Yeah.
Because you want to be able to do this amazing, passionate career choice while also being able to sustain yourself.
I feel like it's telling an artist that, like, you should just paint and then just put it in a corner. Like, it doesn't matter if anybody ever sees it. You should just love to paint. And it's like, well, even if it wasn't a monetary value, I still kind of want people to see what I made. I want some kind of feedback on that, whether it's, you know, and the more people that give me kudos, the better. Like, you get this endorphin rush from getting that feedback of people like liking your videos or giving you comments or like seeing you at conventions and being like, oh, you know, it's you, like, you've done this content. Or, you know, you might hear that a lot with other content creators, like, you know, you helped me through these rough times kind of thing. Like, you want to be able to create content that speaks to other people and creates this feeling of bonding with somebody else that may, you know, you may never meet, but like sees what it is that you made and is just kind of like, I really like this, I dig this, it resonates with me. You want to be able to kind of do that. And knowing that you are on a platform that blocks you at every step of the way is frustrating and worth talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to segue, I think when you do a lot of this, especially because the bar keeps getting raised in terms of the content that people are trying to make, whether it be a social media post or a stream, or like, we're all constantly trying to do the best possible job that we can, whether it's for discoverability purposes or for our own personal reasons. And I think in doing so and trying to fight the algorithm and trying to, you know, get people's attention, burnout is very likely to happen. And I think it is one of the biggest topics that gets brought up, even if we don't talk about it too in depth. But I wanted to ask you guys, what does burnout look like for you all? And what have you done to manage that?
That's depression, baby. That's pretty much what it is. It's just like the want to not just do anything at all. I tried to balance both YouTube and Twitch separately, like just doing like some casual Let's Play content while still doing 3 streams a week, and it just became to a point where I couldn't mentally balance both. Because it felt like if I was behind on one, then I had to kind of give up on the other, and just like trying to find that balance was just frustrating. I wasn't spending any time with my wife. It was just becoming a case of just like all I could focus on was work. So then when I realized that was happening, even my therapist was like, "Hey, you don't seem happy. You seem like you're very burnt out. Maybe you should roll back on something so you can give yourself space to breathe. And she was right. But like, it sucks because that screws up audience expectations. I'm at least lucky that I was on 2 separate platforms, so one kind of went to the wayside while I still focused on the other one, and I'm still financially like solid there. But it always bummed me out because there was always this feeling of like, man, I really feel like I let people down because I just couldn't mentally handle it. But whenever I try to think about like, okay, I need to work on this. If I get this video done, then like maybe I can get back into the flow of things. It immediately starts hitting that same depression note of like, you're doing the exact same thing again. You're already priming yourself for burnout. You need to be careful. It's just, it sucks. It's like it's a level of depression that just kind of shuts you down.
And I want to follow this up because when you retweeted the episode, I felt kind of bad because I noticed that people were responding to it being like, oh, you know, it sucks that John quit YouTube. And I'm like, no. I'm not talking to people who quit YouTube.
I'm just really fucking burned out.
I replied and I was like, that's a little rude there.
I didn't mean
Well,
that.
how the internet works. It
Content.
just goes like this.
Just go to the Twitch.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
there are some people who absolutely will not go to Twitch. Straight up.
Yeah, it is true.
Yeah.
I mean, even Josh has talked about this, and I found it so surprising, but not surprising that it's like they just forget you exist because you've been on Twitch for like 5 years and you didn't post a single YouTube video.
Yeah, no, I've had people that when I came back, when I was doing some Let's Plays like last 2 years ago, 3 years, or how long ago at this point, they were like, oh, I thought you were dead. And meanwhile, I have been streaming full time for a decade, and I'm just like, guys, I post the videos of the streams here. Why do you think I'm dead? Like, no, I just didn't see them. The algorithm didn't show them to me, so I thought you were dead.
Yeah.
Good lord. Hopefully that's not the case.
Well, and I feel like
You should have had like a revive, like you revived yourself content. You know, that would definitely get on the algorithm.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not dead with a bunch of arrows and circles.
Just like a little
That's how you revive your channel.
Yeah.
little
Literally
phoenix
reviving
down
yourself
on the
for
side
content.
so you can get that Final Fantasy SEO.
There you go.
Yeah. Liv, because I feel like your style of like the social media content can have some benefits in that like a really good post can kind of be eternal, but I also feel like social media is so much faster paced. What does burnout look like from that perspective for you?
Let's see. Burnout is not fun. So like with my social media content, like I like how you said like some people don't like talk about burnout. I'm like, let's talk about burnout. Let's talk about mental illness. Like I want to be doing that advocacy work, especially in gaming, because people like to be quiet in the room about those conversations, and I want to bring them to the forefront. Especially in a trauma-informed way, that like everyone has trauma, everyone has things they are dealing with, and everyone should be treated with respect and kindness.
Yeah.
But like with that in mind, I'm very honest with myself and I'm very honest with my community. Like if I'm feeling burned out, if I'm having a really bad depression marshmallow day, I let them know and then I disappear. But you'll still sometimes get those people who like, and then I'll go back and stream and they'll be like, you disappeared, you left us, or like, I didn't realize you were back. And it's like, I'm on every social media platform. I'm sorry I didn't stream for a few weeks. I'm still alive. But like there are definitely people who have expectations over you and you're like, I'm here casually. I'm here because I enjoy being here. I don't owe anyone anything. But it's definitely hard when you are a full-time content creator and you do feel like you owe people things.
Yeah, and it's just not only that, but it's just you feel like you never just get a sick day. Like if I am sick, I don't have to go to work, but I still have to think about like a stream, or if I take too long. I think I took an entire month off of streaming almost after I had my family emergency. You know, it was a lot to have to deal with everything at once, and I didn't want to be in front of people. And you take that time at the risk of, I guess, irrelevancy, especially as a smaller streamer when you feel like you've started to hit some kind of momentum, and now you wonder like, okay, is everyone still gonna be here when I get back? Like, I had that first stream jitters of like, is everyone just gonna have forgotten about me? You know, I have a Discord, and people can join that Discord, and they can kind of still be kept abreast of like what's going on in all aspects, but that's their choice. And if they choose not to like follow on all these other platforms, then they're not going to know like why I stopped streaming. They're not going to know why I stopped uploading videos. And when you feel like you have to take that time to recuperate, you just kind of cross your fingers and hope that people are going to be willing to be patient with you on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did I miss anybody for this question in particular? She says, did you want to talk about this a little bit?
Yeah, sure. You know, in the early years, it was super exciting, and I was completely passion driven, and I was working longer hours than I probably should have been. And it was just, again, fueled 100% by passion, and it didn't feel like work. It didn't feel like exhaustion back then. And then over time, you know, you could just kind of feel the plateau. And when you feel the plateau, in my case, I started to become passionate about other things. You know, other things got introduced into my life, and I, you know, suddenly had more passion for things outside of my career on YouTube. And sadly, it was like a trade-off, not something that I could. Were you upside down for a second?
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Okay.
This happens.
I was trying to figure out how to mirror because like it's flipped for whatever weird reason. But
Weather's
anyways,
weird.
Discord just does that.
Yeah.
That's so weird. But yeah, so anyways, once that happened, you know, it just became work at that point. And of course, like there are steps in the process that are more fun than others. So no matter what, like collecting footage is a ton of fun because you get to see the discoveries for the first time in a show like mine. But then when you get to the part where it's like audio editing and I'm just sitting there meticulously taking out dead air, or like I stutter over my words or something like that, and the recording is like over an hour and a half long and it gets trimmed down to like 40 minutes, it eventually just like I stop having fun with it and it becomes a daunting task. And the fact that we get to that stage in the production, it makes me like so burnt out. I end up feeling burnt out at the idea of sitting behind that computer screen and doing all that work at that point, because it's not fun at that point. And so that definitely started to happen where the more I would do it, the more it would just feel like I would procrastinate. I would do whatever I can to either get it done fast or whatever, but like seriously, like during the entire time I'm just I don't have that passion anymore, and I just feel like I feel unhappy while I'm doing it. And you know, thankfully I've figured out methods up to this point where it makes that process a little bit easier, so I'm not feeling as bad about it. But now I'm also just putting my thumb in different pies, like I mentioned, like the 3 different channels at this point. That becomes sort of daunting because it's sort of like there's now 3 different entities that demand my attention, and you don't want to fall behind on either one of them, and that becomes stressful, and then that becomes a developed sense of burnout as well. So yeah, I'm definitely feeling it now too, if I could be honest with you.
And I feel like it's just this vicious cycle because I feel like with YouTube in particular, like if I do a stream, then I have the stream. It can suck if like nobody shows up or if like people aren't interested in the stream, but then that's the stream. Like it's there, like it's done. I feel like with YouTube, I think the worst thing that could happen is like you spend so much time, so much like blood, sweat, and tears, you know, so to speak, trying to create a video for people that either they've been waiting for, or like you just want to do this to, you know, because this is something that you want to do, something you're passionate about, something you want to talk about. And for one reason or another, it just doesn't hit. And, you know, I've had that happen to me multiple times where it's just, you know, it took me 6 months to get this video out because I just don't have the time. You know, I'm not this like I'm not like a college student or a high school student that, you know, has the luxury of going home and not having anything else to do. I'm not saying everybody's like that, but like the amount of disposable time that I have in my hands is like zero. It's just non-existent. And even the answer of, well, just hire an editor, find somebody who can do it for you. It's like, well, I'm not at that place yet where I could reasonably go hire somebody. And, you know, if I do, then, you know, this is no longer a part-time gig. This is no longer a hobby. Like, this is now serious business. And, you know, the channel doesn't make that return on investment, like both mentally and physically. And it can be extremely exhausting. I think that's like my major sort of burnout feeling is just, wow, like I spent so long trying to get this video out, and then just, you know, 25 viewers, and it's like, ugh, nobody liked it. All right, do I want to do this again? Like, do I really want to go through that again? And it just sucks. But just find a Tiger Tanaka in our chat. Just find a professional editor that'll work for free. So easy, yeah. Exposure. But in terms of that, like, you know, we all have different methods. I think it would be nice to maybe talk about that a little bit. Like, how do we kind of manage through that burnout? And I think it's not an easy question to answer. I know for me, a lot of it has to do with just like, you know, just because it didn't hit, like just because you didn't get like an amazing amount of views, like it's different for me as sort of a part-timer and where this is not my main source of income. But I have to remind myself that like what I'm making is good. Like I'm doing my absolute best effort, and regardless of how it gets received or regardless of whether or not the algorithm is going to take it into account, you know, I still like what I did, and I still think that I did a hell of a job trying to make it and put it out there. And that this is not a reflection of my work, even though sometimes it does feel that way. Do the rest of y'all have any kind of like ways to mitigate, like whether or not you like talk to somebody, or like what are your thought processes to help kind of like get you back on track?
Therapy.
It's a good one.
Yeah, therapy, having friends that also kind of go through similar things also helps. Like talking to the whole Coliseum crew tends to like, bounce ideas back and forth, because like if you know people that are going through the same thing, it's a lot easier to come up with solutions, or at least vent so you can get it out of your system.
Yeah. And I mean, even like Shesez and I, like a couple of years ago when it was first starting to really hit me, you and I just had a conversation about like, you know, what is it that we could do? Like, you know, what is the algorithm trying to do right now? And I know that's probably different from what it was when we had that talk, but like, I honestly felt like just talking to another creator that was going through it was exceedingly helpful, because I felt like, you know, not only am I still in it, but there are people out there that want to help. Yeah.
And I mean, like, my best advice would be that clearly what we've learned from this discussion already is that burnout can happen for different reasons from person to person. So, you know, there isn't like one catch-all piece of advice, because me personally, how I worked through it is I did follow my heart. Like if I did feel burnout, I'd take breaks. Like even if they were short breaks, I would just like be like, I don't feel good sitting here. Like my brain's starting to kind of feel foggy from sitting here and working so much. I'm going to step away for a moment. I'm going to do something that I know I'm going to enjoy, whether it be like just take a short walk, or watch a bit of the show that my partner's watching, or believe it or not, going from making videos about video games and going off and actually playing a video game for just a little bit. It sounds weird, but like truthfully, sometimes that does help to kind of like separate gaming for fun versus gaming for business. And so like, you know, that's how I work through it, is just listen to my body. And if my body's telling me like, you know, you are not happy right now, unless there's nothing I can do about it, unless there's a very strict deadline because of a sponsor or something like that, I will, within reason, try to address what my body's telling me, and also make a commitment to go back and still get what needs to be done. Yeah, I guess to generalize that advice, it would be, take a moment to try to self-identify what's making you feel burnt out, and then ask yourself, do I have enough time to address this now? And see if you can do that. See if you can give yourself a 20-minute, hour, 3-hour, 4-hour break. I know that sounds like a lot, but seriously, like if you can get back into the chair 4 hours later and then just like do whatever amount of time you need to do to finish your video and then go to bed or something like that, that might be the best thing for you. Sometimes burnout can be a long-term thing. It might not be a short-term thing. Like I'm describing short-term burnout.
Yeah.
But like some people just straight up just lose the morale to make videos, period. I can't even speak to that, and I wouldn't know personally how to address that one. But yeah, like that would be my advice if you're experiencing a similar type of burnout to me. Therapy was a great suggestion, though.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I found I had to lean on therapy because I couldn't do gaming for fun. Which sucks considering I'm a game collector, so it's not like I have a shortage of options, but like I just couldn't bring myself to play anything. I would rather just stare at a wall sometimes than just sit down and play a game for myself. Or if I did, it was something that was like mindless, like lacrosse, something that was just, it didn't require any concentration. It's like, oh, number, fill in, yay, good.
Well, I hope you still had fun playing Capcom versus SNK 2 with me at Indie PopCon, because I had a blast.
I mean, I did enjoy that. I don't get to play CVS 2 that often. But...
Yeah, same. Yeah, that was like a highlight for me. So I'm glad that you enjoyed it too. But yeah, I get what you're saying. It's there was definitely a period of time for me too where like I worked with video games so much that it got to a point where it was like it just feels redundant. Not even redundant. It just feels counterintuitive to try to unwind with a video game at that point. But it's sort of, it's gonna sound dumb, but like making my game room the way I wanted it to, making it cozy, and like making it like separate from any other theme in the house. When I get finished with work, it's the middle of the night, everyone's in bed, and I can just like go out into this space that does feel like it's like this is not like any other thing that you're working with in your office. It suddenly I'm able to separate, the work video games from the playtime video games. And yeah, I've been playing Okage. I know we talked about that earlier.
Oh wow!
Wow! Yeah.
So I'm like working through Okage right now, and I'm having a good time with it, just relaxing with that.
And Liv, have you experienced burnout? Like, what is that? And well, I guess we talked about the have you experienced, but in terms of mitigation and in terms of how do you manage through that? Like, what have you gone through as well?
Yeah, so I'm definitely on the other side of burnout right now. I'm definitely going through autistic burnout, which is like a whole other level of things to be dealing with. Which the fun thing about autistic burnout is like it could last a few weeks, it could last years, of dealing with being in a world where things are not made for you or you're stuck masking through life. But the best ways I've been learning about coping with that is things need to change. You need to take less on, and you need to decide what your priorities are. So if those priorities are just like making sure you drink water, making sure you get to bed and get enough sleep, like that's what you need to do to treat your body well until it feels like it can take on a few more tasks. But like therapy's helpful. I think medication's helpful. Trying to decide like what your schedule is each day based on I really like spoon theory of like how many spoons you have each day of like what you can get done. Like if you're having an awesome super spoons day, is like I'm gonna stream and I'm gonna edit a video after work. So like trying to do those things, go in nature, any sort of things that bring you joy or happiness, those things can help you with burnout. So you need to find those things that bring you joy that are not just video games, because if you do video games for work and for play, sometimes that line, you have trouble balancing that line. So what are the things you enjoy that are not video games that will still make things easier for you or let you allow yourself to relax?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Because sometimes the things that we normally use in order to kind of get ourselves out of a funk can still not necessarily be harmful, but it just may not work. And finding other things to do to take care of yourself and to just, I think, take a step back, take a break, come back, especially if it's been exceedingly frustrating, can actually be like very helpful. So I do appreciate that advice as well. So there's, you know, burnout. YouTubers have been kind of retiring, leaving. On top of that, back in January, Dan Clancy, CEO, recently hired CEO of Twitch, owned up to the fact that Twitch doesn't make a profit. And I thought that was fair. I wasn't shocked.
Yeah, I don't think anyone was really surprised at all at that.
But at the same time, it was interesting to hear somebody be very like transparent about that. But, you know, we kind of are worried about the algorithm just destroying YouTube, like OG YouTubers just leaving and walking away from the platform. Whether it's the algorithm, you know, as we all get older, we all realize we can't keep doing this anymore. What do you think that we can expect from any of these content creation platforms moving forward as a result of all this? Do we see like Twitch continuing to live on, and YouTube continuing to be like a decent or safe place to create content and be creative?
I think you're going to see more exodus. You're going to see more people, just like long timers, just eventually giving up and leaving because it just gets to a point where it's just too much to handle. Twitch is someone who's been streaming on there full time for over a decade now. I am aware that it's basically on borrowed time at this point. It just depends on when Amazon decides to just like pull the plug on it. But as far as I am aware of, it's Twitch's tech that is really the thing that Amazon wanted in the first place, their whole streaming setup in the first place. So like that part still I think makes a profit hidden in other locations. The site, Twitch itself doesn't. So it's really a case of when Amazon decides like this is no longer worth it, and they get rid of it. But the problem is they've kind of got a zeitgeist on their hands. Like if they get rid of it, like that's a lot of content creators that are just gone out of nowhere. Like what, 100,000 plus at this point that are making some sort of money from it. And then you've got the whole problem of just like there's not really anywhere else to do it at. There's YouTube, but YouTube's still missing features. And then all the potential competitors that showed up that just kind of stagnated, I guess. Like I don't hear about Kick anymore. I know it still exists and it works, but like I don't hear about it anymore. I always see all these other smaller spaces that look pretty cool, but then like they just don't have the audience that Twitch does. Like I'm more curious, like if Twitch disappears, what does the audience do? Do they go somewhere else or do they just disappear?
Yeah.
I mean, like, as far as guessing on that one, I feel like a lot of Twitch streamers that they do VODs on YouTube, right? Like they re-upload onto YouTube. And so they kind of already have like a bit of a nest going on with YouTube as a platform as opposed to like Kick or whatever. And I feel like if I was to speculate, like if Twitch was suddenly to like leave overnight, I just imagine a lot of people just sort of migrate over to YouTube. Again, that's just a guess. I mean, like, we're just thinking about like if these people have some sort of presence on YouTube and no presence on Kick, like unless there just becomes enough people migrating to the Kick platform to sort of like seem appealing to people that never even dabbled in it, I feel like the natural next step is to try YouTube, even if it does have lesser features or something like that. Same thing with TikTok. If it gets banned because of this weird bill, I feel like the migration is going to naturally just go to YouTube, because I think a lot of kids are just going to be like, well, you know, what else can I watch? YouTube. It's already on my phone, you know? So like, that's when the shorts content really starts to boon on YouTube. If it hasn't already, I haven't been keeping up with that, but, and it's honestly like, I feel a lot of sympathy for TikTok creators, but also at the same time too, it's sort of like, it's exciting as a person who works exclusively on YouTube to know that there might be a whole bunch of faces that just suddenly pile in on YouTube. I don't know how that would affect long form content, if at all, but like Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like it's hard to say. Like as far as that goes, there's a weird fork. It's either like suddenly like people might actually start to take more of an interest in long form content again, and the short form content can either coexist or maybe dissipate over a period of time, or it becomes, you know, the dark scenario where like YouTube gets its, you know, monkey paw wish and like becomes like the ultimate short form content website, and it just completely floods people's interests and expectations, and it just completely kills off the long form content ride that we've been doing for how long has YouTube been around? It's like 20 years
2006, 2005?
Yeah.
Close to 20 years.
Even
Yeah,
back
so
then, it was still in
18 years.
competition with Google Video. And then Google just kind of absorbed YouTube and took out Google Video. So now, yeah, it's been almost 20 years now.
Yeah, I remember when you had to link your Google account or something like that. It was awful.
I think at some point they forced you to have to, yeah, Google Plus. When they tried to be Facebook
oh gosh,
too.
I hated that platform.
I don't think anyone liked that platform, not even Google.
Well, and speaking of that, I mean, one of the issues with Twitch right now is that it's the place to be, and Twitter has that same problem. You cannot seem to find one single resource in social media. Like if Twitter does go down tomorrow, that can scare a lot of people that use Twitter as a resource for their content. Like, even though I guess Twitter kind of hates that, but it's the idea that, you know, I use this as a way to get people to see what I do, especially artists on the platform. Like they had to do the Tumblr exodus and now they're here. And now if Twitter's gone, like they have to find somewhere else to go. And that's not quite as simple. So in terms of that, I mean, like you've kind of maybe had to deal with a little bit of that yourself, Liv. Like what has that looked like for you? Like if Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it goes down tomorrow, like what does that look like?
Oh, Elon. I've been on Twitter since like the very beginning, so I feel like it's my platform, not his. But like honestly, Twitter has been way more of a negative space, and it isn't sharing your post with like your actual followers. So like unless you get a viral tweet, like it's not going to go to the people you actually want to see it, which is really frustrating. Especially because now like you can pay for premium, and like those people who are posting those engagement farming posts or anything toxic just to get outrage and stuff, like that's the kind of posts that are like being pushed on Twitter. But Twitter's still a great place to talk to game developers, to get partnerships, to talk to other streamers. I have been spending a lot more time on Threads. I do wish more people would give Threads a chance, because I've been using it since November, and I've already made like a cute little community. There are some really nice people there, but people come on, they'll be like, oh, this platform's dead, and then they leave for 14 weeks, and then I'm like, you never gave it a chance. You sadly need to spend maybe like 1 to 2 weeks getting your algorithm to what you want it to be. Which does suck that you have to put in the work, but once you put in that work, you can build a community there as well.
That's very interesting, because I've pretty much, I think I'm on, at this rate, Threads, TikTok, Instagram, and Blue Sky, and all of that is to just kind of see if I can make even a fraction of the success that I found on Twitter, and it has been rough. Like, learning these new platforms has been emotionally difficult. Like it's just kind of like they all have their own different thing, and they are all bizarre, just like very out there. Even though people post a lot of stuff on the same platforms, I've been finding that like each individual platform has its own set of rules, and trying to learn each individual set of rules has been interesting, to say the least.
No, my best way to describe Threads right now is like early Twitter. Like there's no ads yet. Like people just want to talk to people as humans. They don't want to be promoted at. So that's like the cool aspect of it.
Interesting. And then Shesez, what about, like, you know, what about YouTube? Like, what if the reverse happens and YouTube no longer becomes a sustainable place to post videos? Like, what does that look like?
Oof. Jeez. Nope, Vine's not still around.
No, that's TikTok now.
Yeah.
TikTok's got a day.
Yeah,
supposedly.
I think TikTok has started experimenting with longer form content, right? So I think that there's a lot of people that would migrate to try to fit into that space, but at the same time too, it's just a very different audience too, and I don't think that my content would immediately take on something like TikTok. Yeah, I mean, that's tough. There's also you just got to think about who would be willing to take advantage of that open market, right? So like X has also talked about becoming a video platform and trying to advertise Mr. Beast and all that stuff. And it's all to trying to drive up this idea that like, hey, we can host videos too, and you can make money off of it, which we all know is not entirely true. But yeah, I mean, like it could just very well be that Elon decides like this is the time, like I'm going to unleash these tools that's going to make it a lot easier to become a video content creator on X, and so you might see that. But man, that again, like I dread the thought of it, like literally being posed with the idea of no more YouTube. Like that's infinitely more sad than thinking about any other website in my personal preference and like in personal enjoyment. I mean, like I chose YouTube as like my core platform because I love YouTube. I constantly watch YouTube. It's my alternative to TV. Like I barely watch television now at this point, and instead I'm watching all sorts of content creators, whether new or old, and it's just like an infinite well of entertainment for me as opposed to TV where I have to constantly like scan to find something that I might enjoy or even half enjoy, so just thinking about a world without YouTube is just don't love it. maybe I'll go back to watching TV. That's the answer.
Because I mean, even that I feel like that discussion was held like maybe a good 7 or 8 years ago, and people were like looking at other platforms like Vimeo, and I remember there was going to be like a great Let's Player exodus onto Vimeo, and Vimeo said no. Like it actively was like, we are not taking you filthy, dirty gamers. Vimeo
no gaming content, only film, only cinema,
film, which meant a lot of nudity apparently.
No kidding.
Yeah, art. So yeah, I mean, there's just so many things to think about, and there are just so many different platforms in order to like make a name for oneself or to just share their either thoughts or ideas or their creativity with the world. But I think with burnout, and particularly with the algorithm and the frustration that comes with it, I have multiple times over the last 10 years, over 10 years that I've been making content. I've wanted to quit so many times, and I'm just too stubborn. But what has everybody else felt like? Like, has that feeling come up? Like, what have you talked to yourself about in terms of what quitting would be, or
I have a quick answer for that. No. I love YouTube as a career, and the idea that like of just going back to a normal 9 to 5, it's just not as appealing.
Mm-hmm.
And if it means that I make less money doing the same thing, then so be it. I just got to consolidate my lifestyle even more so than just to kind of be able to do what I love to do, so like that like I've definitely thought about like, how do I keep this job, not like oh, let me quit this job.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's like just a hobbyist level type thing, I would still want to do YouTube no matter what. Like, even if it's just like even if it does become like a part-time job on top of a 9 to 5 job, it would still be something that would be incorporated into my life for sure.
Yeah. Liv, how about you?
I mean, I feel like I just got here, so like I'm vibing.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
Like Like I definitely don't think of quitting. Like I feel like I think of taking mental health breaks or self-care breaks, and I know that will affect my viewership, but oh well, I should come first. But
Yeah.
like thinking about like the fact that like developers will reach out to me and send me game keys for games that like I was looking forward to. Like my younger self would think that's the coolest thing ever. So like I'm grateful to be in the position I am, even just casually.
Nice. I'm really glad that that's happening for you.
Thank you.
John, how about you?
Well, apparently I just got reminded that about a week or two ago marked the 17-year mark of me making some form of online content. So I started on Google Video, I went to YouTube, and then I took a break for a bit. Then I went to group channel on YouTube, and then I went to Twitch, and that's kind of back and forth. It's basically been what I've been doing. But like, many times have I been like, yeah, why the hell am I still doing this? But like at the same time, it's just like, I don't know what I would be doing otherwise, because like, like from like both aspects of like my experiences and like my actual resume. My resume is just like, okay, I've been self-employed for 17 years now, or let's say it was more like 10 because like I had an actual job for a couple years. More like, okay, so what skills would I have for a company now? The job market kind of sucks as it is outside anyway, so now I have to suddenly like navigate all that and figure that out. Would I even be able to do that? I have a bachelor's degree. I don't use it. I'm a programmer by trade. I have not had to program for like a decade plus, and I am the better human being for it. But I'm just like, I don't know what I would do in that aspect. And the other aspect is I would miss it in a twisted way. I would actually miss it because like it really felt like it helped me develop who I am as a person in a way. Like,
Yeah.
it's weird to be like, oh, thank God for YouTube. Otherwise, I wouldn't be who I am now. But like, it kind of is that because like, sure, I didn't mind doing like presentations, talking to people and stuff like that. But like, I definitely remember when I started doing like panels at conventions then versus now, and like a whole new person doing it. It's wild to see like how much growth you get from like personal growth, even just from doing this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, just to kind of build off of that real quick, I was terrible at doing public speaking and stuff like that. And then YouTube completely changed that out of me to the point where I'm comfortable doing something like this and doing something like panels and being in front of like large groups of people and stuff like that. It's weird how that is easily like one of the greatest benefits of being an online entertainer was that it definitely broke me out of my shell that probably would not have happened if not for YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I have to agree with that. I didn't really have terrible anxiety, like performance anxiety, but I think as I got older, it kind of started becoming an issue. And I think most of all was that I, especially before I started doing a lot of like coordinating with other streamers and content creators, I was a very, inside person, very, very introverted. I would wait for people to call me versus like calling them and wanting to hang out. So like I lost a lot of friends that way. But I think more importantly, being able to get out of my shell in terms of meeting new people and, talking to y'all, as well as all the other people that have been on this show and have been streaming with me. I think thinking about that and thinking about, losing that potentially, like even future like abilities that I could gain from doing this as even just a side hobby or a part-time content creator is too much. Also, I bought all this stuff.
What am I supposed to do with all this shit in the back of my room? I can't get
I have like
no one wants it.
15 XLR cables. What the hell am I gonna do with all that if I stop? I
Time
can't
to go into technical theater.
Give it to me for cheap. I'll take them.
Yeah, I mean it's just too much work. I have panels to make the echo go down.
What am I gonna do with all this foam?
What am I gonna? Yeah, I can't. Pack stuff inside of it? Like I can't. No, I'm too invested.
An infomercial? Or
I have too many Billy bookcases.
Yeah.
I can't stop creating content now.
Only 2. That must be nice.
I have a third one sitting in it. I haven't built it. It's been sitting.
3. That's so quaint. That's so quaint.
Shut up. I told you I'm a part-timer. Anyway, but I hope that I'm actually uplifted because like I know that this was kind of a difficult conversation because it got maybe a little bit personal, but I do appreciate everyone sharing their experiences and being able to talk about like, you know, what do these finer details and what do these obstacles that creators constantly face every single day, what it can actually do to us. And I'm very lucky to have been able to have the opportunity to just have all 3 of you here tonight to hash that out. So yeah. That's gonna wrap up tonight's show. It went a little over, but I think it was worth it. If you I just want to say big thanks again to all my guests and everybody in chat. I saw a lot of conversation going on the side of the chat. Some of that got highlighted. I wanted to let everyone feel included in the conversation, even if we didn't directly respond. But let's take a quick turn around the room and let's talk about, let everyone know what you guys are up to and where we can find y'all. We'll start with number 2, Self-Care Gamer. Where can we find you? What are you working on right now?
So I am on Twitch at the Self-Care Gamer, and Self-Care Gamer everywhere else. Mostly you can see me verbally saying whatever I want on Twitter and Threads. But I like to play cozy games and Pokemon, and I have a nice little introverted neurodivergent community, and all are welcome there besides bigotry.
At least you got to put that in there. Just all are welcome. Except
the assholes.
Yeah.
You will be immediately blocked.
John, where can we find you? What are you up to?
Twitch.tv/ProtonJon, Mondays, Wednesdays, Saturdays, and sometimes every other day in the freaking week. Yeah, I am. Mondays are usually my game clearing day where I pick a game I've never finished before and we work through it together as a group. I don't know what I'm going to start with if I do game clearing this week. I'm thinking I actually want to start doing, because I never played this on the DS, Trace Memory, or I guess now it's known as Another Code, because I guess that's the European title. So we're probably going to work through the first game on that. Wednesdays or wildcard days could be pretty much anything. I think this week we're doing High Risk Fortune Cookie, which is where I just literally roll a random game out of my game collection and we play it. That's it. Doesn't matter what comes up. And then Saturday's regular Fortune Cookie, where chat votes on a bunch of random games pulled from my collection. They vote and see what game we play next. It usually goes places. That's the best way to put it.
All right. And then she says, where can we find you and what have you been up to lately?
Well, Boundary Break is still a thing. If you have an interest in seeing games from Out of Bounds, just type in Boundary Break on YouTube. That is definitely the channel that I built up over the years. But the 2 new big projects that would really help out with a little bit of extra support is a 3rd channel called Shesez the News. The Shesez is Shesez, and it's a new channel where I'm just trying to talk about relevant events and stuff like that. And occasionally, and the idea is that once a month we're going to do a big edited video that's going to be like an essay sort of topic. So there's going to be a little bit of content for everybody. And then the 2nd channel is just called Out of Bounds Content, where I do compilation uploads of Boundary Break. You trim out the intros, the outros, and just get to the good stuff. And it's like all one game category, like all Zelda games, all Mario games, and whatever else. So if you're interested in really long content, like over an hour or 2 hours long, that would be the one for you. And if you're in for just something to watch really quick in between, I don't know, bathroom breaks or whatever, Shesez the News would be the one for you.
All right. Awesome. And if you would like to, hold on. And if you want to find me in the podcast, well, you're already here. You can also subscribe to the channel at youtube.com/laughingboylp. If you like the episode, please remember to hit that like button and to help support the video. And be sure to leave a comment in order to help us fight the algorithm. How about today's topic? Do you all see Twitch and YouTube as a viable platform in the next 10 years? Let us know what you think in the comments below. And if you'd like to help financially support the channel, you can always do that. You can become a member and get some great perks, including some exclusive emotes, shout-outs at the end of videos, specialized role in the Discord and special channels, only exclusive to you. Priority during the Q&A sessions with our guests before each live stream. And at the $5 tier and above, members only access will give you videos and early access to all new videos on the channel going forward. If you're listening to the podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, and if you've made it this far, congratulations. Be sure to put in a good word for us and give the show 5 stars if you can. Come back here next month for more video game topics. But until next time, this has been another fantastic episode 47 of DialogBOX. Good night, everybody. Now I have to find the button because I keep forgetting to put it on my stream deck. Hold on.
No.
Yeah. Goodbye.